In the first half of this week's content, we talked about the impact of social media, culture, and pornography on self-image and on sexual self-consciousness. Now, we recognize that this episode was getting too long for our regular programming, so we've published it in 2 parts. If you're just getting started with us now with this episode, you should grab episode 88A, we'll call it, the one before this one, and listen to that one first. But if you already got it and you've listened to it, let's get right into it.
Welcome to the Only You Forever podcast. If you want to build a thriving, passionate marriage, we've got the research, the truth, and the answers you've been looking for. And now, here are your hosts, Caleb and Verlinda Simone Gendel.
Welcome back. If you've listened to the previous part of this topic in episode 88A, in the second half here, we want to talk about how you can help yourself and your spouse overcome issues with body image and thereby improve your sexual satisfaction.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Now, one more thing before I jump in, if I could.
All right.
If you haven't done so already, make sure you grab the worksheet to go with this episode because I know this is very serious stuff and the worksheet is going to help you distill your difficult thoughts about these issues and help you move toward a place of healing and greater intimacy. You can get this worksheet by opening your browser to oyf.link/88 or by texting the word podcast to 9292 spouse. Message and data rates may apply. Once again, all you need to do is text the word podcast to 9292 spouse, or you can find this bonus on our website at oyf.link/88. I just want to lay out 3 things as they relate to body image and satisfaction, sexual satisfaction, okay?
Okay.
To help us heal, recover, rebuild, whatever we need to do.
Okay. So this is about improving.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first thing is to recognize the buffering effect of marriage. And what I mean by that, I'll define it right now, is just that being married is kind of a buffer against all of that. It helps to some extent.
Against the body shame.
All that jazz, yeah.
Okay.
So the very fact that you're married should be recognized. These researchers from 2004 researched what they call the cultural standard of an impossible-to-attain ideal body image. But in doing this research on this, ideal body image I can never get to, they compared the reaction of married couples versus single individuals.
Oh, okay.
And they found that marriage lessens the importance of the ideal body image for both men and women. Like there's just less pressure there when you're married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in this study, married people, when compared to single people, rated it less important for their spouses to possess the ideal body image.
Okay.
And this underscores the importance of a long-lasting, satisfying relationship because it decreases the importance of body dissatisfaction and it mitigates the impact of unrealistic ideal body image.
Okay.
And I don't think this should be underestimated because the marketing world and the Hollywood pitch is that the ideal sexual partner is this young, single, attractive, fit person who looks like a model or a movie star.
Yeah.
But the actual human brain, which you have and your spouse has, is actually wired to appreciate healthy, intimate relationships as being far more important than ideal body image.
Okay.
And, that's where I kind of say, well, you both have human brains.
Yeah.
You have actual human brains. So your brain is real and Hollywood is not. And porn is not real. And
you were telling me, maybe you actually have this in here, I don't know. But you were telling me something the other day about how our brains are wired to age.
Yeah, with each other.
And so as we get older, even though, our bodies are deteriorating or sagging or whatever, our brains are wired to still be attracted to that.
Yeah, to shift so that your definition of attractiveness moves with your spouse.
Yeah. But porn destroys that.
It does. That's if you're visually loyal to your spouse.
So that's another way in which porn is so damaging.
Yeah. But I think we need to trust this God-given reality that when we get married, God makes 2 people one flesh. And there's that sacred union there. And he designed that union and he designed us with what you've just mentioned, which is the ability for our brains and our ideas of attractiveness to age together inside that sacred bond. And as people's bodies grow older and more mature, the intimacy actually improves usually.
Yeah.
While the physical appearance is going in the other direction. And this is the buffering effect of marriage that these researchers are identifying. So being married helps.
Just because it's loyal to one person and your brain ages with them.
And so let's just assume, Verlinda, we're talking to a couple where there's either no pornography going on or if there is, they've dealt with that.
Okay.
And recovered from it. And this couple now she's just worried about getting older. and not being as attractive. Or maybe he is, more likely her. This is the message for you that, God's taking care of this. Your brains are wired so that you guys are going to be okay.
Right. You're still going to find each other attractive.
Yeah.
20 years down the road, 50 years down the road.
Yeah.
That's just like romantic.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It really is. Second part here. Sexual function is related to body image, not body weight.
Oh, very interesting.
This is a very important point. Researcher, last name Herbal, 2013, studied the effect of body image and body mass index. That's what is body mass index? It's your weight, basically. It's your amount of
like
fat.
Fat versus muscle or something like that.
Versus your body shape.
Yeah.
Right? And he looked at the effect of body image and body mass index on the sexual functioning of women. And he found that the positive body image of women had a positive effect on their sexual function. And women who were overweight and obese based on body mass index, they had poorer body image.
Okay.
But the actual weight itself had no effect on women's sexual function, meaning that how you see yourself is more important than what you look like.
Wow. That makes sense, though.
It's true. Like, there's some compassion there for sure in realizing this, but there's also this, I hope it gives people a sense of power that if I can think about changing how I see myself, that's more important. Right? And, speaking on behalf of men in response to this whole, body image versus body weight thing is, there's a couple of things that come into play here, okay? So one is, and our listeners, you can give me feedback on this. We'd be glad to hear from you. One is that I appreciate Verlinda's self-care. And I think generally guys appreciate when the wives take care of themselves. And I don't mean to insinuate I don't want to imply like I'm really meaning something there. So don't take that out of context. I'm just saying self-care helps. And I think you appreciate it if I take care of myself too.
Yeah.
I don't need you to have a perfect body. And I'm thankful that you don't need the same for me. But I think it's also valuable to bring the best version of ourselves to the marriage.
Yes.
Healthiest.
Yep.
Right? But what is most important to me is the connection and the love that we have. And in the context of sexual intimacy, what I want as a husband is for you to not be able to get enough of me. That's what I want most. And I think every guy is the same way. You coming at me hungry is far more important by far than you coming at me with a perfect body. It's not even on the same scale. It's the desire to be wanted.
Yeah.
And I hope wives today can hear that. If they're struggling and they're kind of turning the lights off, like, your husband wants to be wanted. And I know that it's hard for you because of all these outside pressures on body image and other things that might have happened. But just think about this.
This reminds me when I was shopping for lingerie before we were married.
Yeah.
And the lady that was helping me, she's like, no, don't be so insecure because your husband is just going to be so excited that he has you and you're all his.
Yes.
Then he is going to be worried about, cellulite or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
But that's hard to take in when you're I was 19 or...
Yeah. And you're walking into a store that has a billboard out front.
Yeah.
Right? And all those mannequins.
Airbrushed.
Yeah. Plus the actual mannequins. I think I read some of the mannequins on average have 4% body mass index.
Oh my dear.
Whatever the body fat measurement is. It's you
size
couldn't
0.
even, you'd have to starve yourself to be a mannequin.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we men, we don't need our wives to buy into and try to match the unrealistic standards out there. We just want to be wanted.
It goes both ways.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, and thirdly, I want to turn this back onto the husband's on here. At this point, you play a critical role in your wife's ability to move forward. This is a reality.
Move forward.
In terms of body image and self-objectification or not.
Okay.
So, and I'm thinking, Verlinda, here of a guy that we both know who would point out a woman on the street and say to his wife, why can't you look like that?
Which is
brutal. And his wife, she was taking pretty good care of herself at the time. And listen, if this is your husband, ladies, this is his problem, not yours. And I know it's yours in that you feel the pain, but this is about his own issues. It's not about you.
You will never be perfect enough.
You can't, do enough surgery or starvation to meet that need that he's got. That's his business.
Yeah.
So another study of 144 couples and these other researchers, they found that wives' sexual outcomes were more strongly shaped by husband's satisfaction with her body. And so, man, this leads to the point here, which is communicate satisfaction to your spouse.
Yeah.
When your wife brings up her body concerns, and she's going to do that a lot because of the culture that we live in, you can alleviate those concerns by routinely reflecting positive body image back to her. You can compliment her, assure her.
Mm-hmm.
And as you sort of consistently promote positive body image for her, you can help her to become less sexually self-conscious. So men can
Just
actually,
from that reassurance.
Husbands can help their wives with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's two parts here. One is not to buy into the lie that a more ideal body is going to provide a better sexual experience. So you got to stop yourself from this illegitimate thought that says, if you were thinner, we'd have better sex.
Yeah.
Right? The more ideal body might provide more arousal, possibly. But if you believe that sex is about intimacy and not just about release, then your best sexual experience is going to happen with the person you're most intimate with, who loves you to death and can't get enough of you, and you to her too. Mm-hmm. So build the intimacy. Mm. That's something that's accessible, that you can change, that you can enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think that the second part here is sometimes you're going to have to explicitly promote your wife's positive body image. In other words, you're going to have to affirm her beauty. And, you might have to tell her, I don't want to be married to like whoever the current most popular Hollywood bombshell is. I want to be married to you because I know that she's a spoiled brat. Mm-hmm. Right? Or she comes with all her own baggage and issues and problems, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just not even reasonable. I want to be married to you, and you are the person I want to make love with, not her.
Mm-hmm.
What?
But you can't say that in words and then go and use pornography on the side.
No.
Like you've got to say this in action.
Yes.
As well as words.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, there's loyalty is implicit here, right, Verlinda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think one suggestion is reading the Song of Solomon for some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to update your language. I think I tried that on you once.
Do you know what me and my cousin did?
Your belly is like a heap of grain.
When my brothers were engaged.
What?
My cousin and I rewrote the Song of Solomon and sent it as a letter to their fiance from my brothers. I wouldn't recommend it.
How did that go for establishing the whole in-law relationship?
Okay.
That's brutal.
We were very mature.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, my brothers are 10 years older than me. So I was how old? 12?
Okay. We'll let you away with it.
Yeah. Good.
So, but the point here is just to affirm your wife.
Yeah.
And I think, go ahead.
No.
That wives should be willing to accept the affirmations too.
Yeah, we've discussed this because, it's nice to get the affirmations. I want you to think I'm beautiful, but they need to be realistic affirmations, because when I come out, in my pink fuzzy house coat and my hair is like a mile wide and my eyes are half open and have sleepy dust and I have dragon breath and whatever, and you're like, oh, you look like an angel. Like, really?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I said that to you.
I know. We weren't going to admit that, remember?
Oh, well.
You may
now
have.
It's all out there, so we're going to keep going, okay? And you were staring out the window and the sun was shining on your face. And I was just like, man, she looks beautiful. And I know you didn't do your hair, but I think it was just, you sort of had this rested, contented, satisfied aura. And yeah, it was your pink fuzzy house coat and you hadn't done your hair yet. But that, to me, that's self-acceptance, because I was affirming not just the beauty of an object, of a person. But what you're experiencing right now is the very struggle that I'm preaching about on this podcast. Right? So this is real. It's hard to drink that in, to accept that I was being genuine and true.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah. So there's guys out here that I know are listening, and they're affirming the wives, and the wives aren't accepting it. So this is a little lesson for wives, and maybe this wife right in front of me too. To just be willing to accept that sometimes your husband sees things that you may not see, and you can be thankful for that. Not buying it? Working on it?
I'm working on it.
That's good.
I think, though, that a husband should be able to explain why he says something out of the blue.
Yeah.
Some...
Well, hang on a sec, because that was a gut reaction.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about a different scenario, which may or may not have happened. And, you text me something out of the blue about, I don't even know, I love you so much or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're at work and I'm like, oh, what brought that up? And you're like, oh, I just do.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, total pop the balloon. he read that on a podcast to text his wife sometime in the day that he loves her.
I don't know. I still think you need therapy.
That's why I married a therapist.
I'm allowed to just love you.
Well, I know, and I think that's good too. But, I think as a wife.
Okay, well, let me actually underline your point, because I think I know where you're going.
Okay.
So compliments are most effective if you can explain them with meaning. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I just thought that because maybe I just finished eating lunch, or I just remembered something from earlier in the day, or...
Well, then why didn't you say that?
Well, sometimes I think I just do feel like I love you sort of in the moment, and I tell you. I think that's a good thing too.
That is a good thing. Yep.
Good luck with that.
Okay, so what we're saying here in summary is that affirmations are very, very important.
Yes.
And they're like critical to our image and...
Giving and receiving.
Yes. But you can't just like throw compliments out there that you read on the internet. Like they've got to mean. No. They have to be real.
Yep.
Yes. And they have to have meaning.
Yes.
And sometimes
sincere.
That's a good word. And sometimes you might have to explain your sincerity in this whole thing if she's having trouble accepting it.
I'm gonna have to send you a bill for this episode, Rolinda.
Why don't we just move on?
Okay.
So,
all right, people.
You just go back to reading the Song of Solomon.
Yes. Your neck is like an ivory pillar. Why do you think that? Well, I read Song of Solomon this morning. That should work. So anyways, I hope people can see that we're real people too. We struggle with these things. But this is the world that we live in, right? And we have to do our best in it, even when our spouse is mocking us.
I wasn't mocking you.
Okay.
I was just pointing out the other side of point of view. No, I mean
when you said wold.
Oh, I was mocking you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for being honest about that. You can apologize off the air. That's fine. So just a quick summary here, Verlinda.
Yes, I'm listening.
That's first.
Excuse me.
This is a good one. Okay, quick summary.
Yes.
Number one, ease off the social media comparisons. Like we all do that to ourselves when we're looking at it.
Yeah.
So let's just back off that because people are always posting the most idealized picture of themselves and their family.
Yeah.
No porn.
Absolutely.
Get help if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
Believe in the power of your marriage as a vehicle for lifelong sexual satisfaction.
I think that's neat. Like that just gives hope.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then focus more kind of on fixing your body image concept than your body weight. It's most important.
Mm-hmm.
And husbands, affirm your wives.
And wives.
You look like you're saying this so willingly.
Accept the affirmations.
My husband told me to say that. All right. And make sure you get our worksheet for this episode. So
I think I should download it.
Put it on repeat. Now, we've recorded this one ahead of schedule, so just so we can get a couple episodes in the queue in case we get laryngitis or anything, so we don't have reviews to share. But next week, we're talking about some specific strategies to infuse into your marriage with regards to positivity and encouragement. Sincere positivity and encouragement that can be received. So we think that's really important for marriages, including ours. Now, before we go, we had a short review.
I thought you just said we don't have any reviews to share.
No. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
We just have this really short one to review.
Okay.
It says, thank you. And it's 5 stars from Kate 4444444. So thank you, Kate, for that. You are welcome. And we appreciate gratitude and we appreciate your reviews. All right. That's all for today's episode. You can get the full show notes at oyf.link/88. That'll link to the first part of this, and the first part will link to the second part of this. But we would love to hear how this podcast is impacting your marriage. And at the same time, you can help us reach more marriages by leaving that testimonial in a review over on iTunes. And the more of these that we receive, the more it encourages us, and it also gives us better exposure in the kids and family category on iTunes.
Yeah, there's some great podcasts in there, but there's a lot that are not promoting, the sound, healthy family values. And so we'd like for folks to find ours first. Mm-hmm. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the OnlyYouForever.com podcast. Please help us reach and influence a wider audience by rating and reviewing our podcast at OnlyYouForever.com/love. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.